talk about financial peace, and I'm very excited to be here. Thank you for letting me speak. Can y'all hear me okay? Is that better? Okay, sorry. Okay, so Merriam-Webster's has several definitions of peace. I kind of centered in on tranquil, harmony, and order. So those kind of things go together, and then obviously financial is money. And if you can have peace in your mind about your money, no matter how much you have, you know, because we all have different amounts, and we all invest different ways, and we all insure different ways. So I think, you know, some of the big things that, what does it mean to you to have financial peace is, you know, can I make payroll? Can I pay my quarterly taxes? Can I pay my year-end taxes? Can I pay my bills? Am I saving for retirement? So really, your finances need to be in order. Is anybody doing the yellow paper accounting? I love that. What are you doing? What's your accounting system? Talk to me about it. What are we using? QuickBooks Online? Raise your hand, QuickBooks Online. I know you are, girl. QuickBooks Desktop. What else are we using? All right, looks like I can help a lot of y'all. Okay. Okay. Why do we need to keep our books in order? We need to decrease our stress. We need to focus on what's real, and we need to not worry about what we don't know. That is too heavy a burden. Has anybody in here carried that burden where you don't know where your books are, or you don't know what decisions to make? I don't know if I should, you know, invest in this. I don't know if I should focus on this line of product. You know, you're lost. You don't know where you're going. Let's say you get investigated by the IRS, or they just send you a notice. Where is this stuff? How do I get to it quickly? Stress. Nobody wants to be stressed. You know, your bank needs your financials for a covenant, or you need to be able to get a loan to build that building to grow your business. You need to have those ready, or you just need to get that tax return done. If you're not keeping your books in order, you're missing out on tax deductions, and you're paying more tax. That's heavy right there. Nobody wants to give more money to the government that they could keep for themselves. And when you don't keep your books up to date, it is very expensive to catch it up. You might get by, but at some point when you get audited or you need it for some reason, it's going to cost you a lot. So how do we get future ready? How do we make sure that our books are in order and we're ready for the future? Cloud-based accounting solutions, okay? The QBO, that's QuickBooks Online for those who may not know. QuickBooks Desktop is also an option, but I really feel like if you kind of are looking, and Xero's another one, if anybody using Xero. There's several out there, but I think they've put a lot of money in QuickBooks Online, and it is a fantastic product. So it's very user-friendly. You can connect to your bank. It downloads. There's lots of apps that integrate with it. So the key to keeping your financials in order is to leverage technology to do that work. And technology is just, we have so much information right now coming through. I mean, it's just, we just are in an age where so much information's coming in, and we can leverage artificial intelligence. You book something, you say, you know, Dunkin' Donuts is meals and entertainment. It remembers that. You know, Bank Plus got your loan for your home or your business, it's gonna remember that. And so we want to leverage them to do the work because that gives us peace. Now, if you do it wrong, it will remember it wrong. So keep that in mind too. So I thought this guy was cute. Anyway. So all these apps are out there and you're like, what should I use, right? Well, we're here to save the day. Hopefully no copyright issues. It's just for y'all. Okay, so I'm not going to go into all this, but QuickBooks Online is a great product, like I said. And it integrates with a lot of different apps. QuickBooks Payroll. I'm going to skip to the next one real quick. T-Sheets. So anybody have employees that are in the field? Anybody have employees? It's a quiet group. You got employees. Okay. So T-Sheets is a really cool, it integrates with QBO. You can, on your phone, log in. I have like a lawn company, for example. And he schedules out on their phone, tells them where to go. And they click and say, hey, I'm working at Joe Smith's and I'm doing lawn work. Oh, and then I'm at Tina Hendry's and I'm doing her lawn work. And all that feeds back in. Okay, and so he can see how much his labor costs are per his job. Okay, and that goes Somebody approves it, make sure that they didn't, not clock in or clock out when they weren't supposed to. And then it goes right into QBO, gets approved, payroll's done. In your books, so you've got your payroll. So from good information in at your employee level, one review to make sure it's right, push a button, it's went all the way to your payroll, to your accounting. You're good to go. And it's all that stored. Your payroll reports are all stored. I'm going to go back to the QBO payroll. All those reports are in QBO payroll. They're filing all your taxes. If you do full service, that's what I would recommend. They're drafting, they're direct depositing. So all that stuff's happening, and you don't have to worry about it. That's peace to me. And you get a tax notice, you send that to them, and they handle it. And they guarantee that they'll pay any penalties for anything they do wrong. That's nice. I'm going to real quickly talk about Bill.com. So Bill.com also integrates with QBO. Okay, so let's say you've got bills to pay. Who likes paying bills? I don't expect a hand to be raised in here. I don't like paying them, but I love Bill.com because what we do is you can send these bills. You can take a picture of them from your phone. You can scan them. You send them to a certain email address. You can have your vendors send them there directly. And when they get there, let's say you send it by 6 one day. By 9 or 8 or 9 the next morning, that bill's populated. You go in, you assign, if you have an approval system, you assign who's going to approve that bill, and then you're going to assign the accounting, or your accountant's going to assign the accounting. Or you can ask your accountant how to assign the accounting. And then it's going to pay it on terms. So you're not paying, if you pay once a week, you might be paying too early some of your vendors. You might be paying too late if you're busy. But this, once you push approve, okay, thank you. Sorry, y'all. Once you push approve, it'll pay it on that due date. It'll make sure it's there a day or two before. So again, it also stores that invoice, so you're audit ready. Okay, you got something you need to investigate. It's right there in a storage solution that's easily searchable. And then, it pays it, and it integrates with QBO, takes it back over, and closes it in QBO. So, and it attaches the invoice. Your accounting's done, and you're audit ready. Pretty cool. There's an AR solution. I really like the QBO AR solution, but Bill.com has one as well. HubDocs is pretty cool too. You can collect invoices from vendors there, let's say Verizon or C-Spire. They send their bill there. It automatically goes out and gets it each month. You can say every time one comes in, code it to telephone and let it go on to QBO. And then you could do a draft with your Verizon to have it come out. It's in your books. You just match it in QBO. Very simple. Expensify, that also integrates. Track your mileage, track your meals and entertainment, take that picture of that receipt, it puts it up, turn it into your expense report if you work for a company, or just track it. And you've got all that taken care of. Your mileage reports for your tax account at the end of the year. You're ready to go. Pretty cool stuff, right? It is. It's really cool. So I'm a little passionate about it. So cloud-based inventory. So QuickBooks has an inventory, but it's FIFO, which stands for first in, first out. So if you have an inventory, is anybody selling anything with inventory in here? All right. So if you use FIFO, what QBO offers is great. If you do have a different methodology, you want last in, first out, or whatever, weighted average, this is probably a more robust system, especially if you're tracking more on a serial number level, etc. So Fathom is a very cool, very inexpensive tool. It kind of helps you compare how you're doing to your industry. It gives you can set up some key performance indicators that may motivate you and drive you to meet some goals if you're not measuring up on some of those. So that one's pretty cool. TripLog, also just mileage solution, integrates with QBO if you didn't need the expense component of it. I did want to go ahead and kind of give you guys just a real quick checklist of things I would recommend that you do every month just to kind of make sure that you're doing what I would expect you to do. And I'm a pretty good accountant, if I had to say so myself. But reconcile your cash if you're not doing it, at least every month, okay? I would do it more often if you've got cash flow issues, right? Credit cards, your loan accounts, reconcile those within your system. Make sure that you understand that those are reconciled and getting paid. Review your accounts receivable. I would look for anything that's over 90 days and be following up on those, maybe even 60 days depending on your cash flow. Same thing with your payables. Look for anything that's old. Typically, if it's old, people are finding you. It could be an error and it just needs to be cleaned up. Understand if you have any fixed assets. Any purchases you make over $2,500, we need to think about, does that need to be capitalized or can that be expensed? It could go either way depending on what it is. So, if you don't know, ask your accountant. Making sure your payroll ties out. If you're using these systems, it pretty much is, but it can't hurt to check it because that helps you be ready for your tax account at the end of the year. And then review your owner distributions. Sometimes things get in there that are business that need to get out. So, and review your general ledger. Make sure, because especially if you have other people doing your books, make sure you recognize those vendor names and those customers. Let's make sure that we're not getting, taken advantage of in any way. And then my last one is kind of, here's what I would put together if I was recommending to a company. I would put together a balance sheet, a P&L, your bank reconciliations and your bank statements, your credit card loans and recons. I would put your summaries and your payroll summaries. Slide that over into a file. You're done with the month. You're ready, and you've looked over and review them, too. So, and then ask if you do have someone who audits your company or does your tax return, ask them, do I have all the adjustments? Have I recorded all those? At Grant Thornton, we have a step that we check to make sure that happens. And then have you closed the year? You can lock. In QBO, you can lock down prior year so that if you're working this year, you don't go and jack up last year's books. We don't want that. So hopefully I didn't go through that too fast. Are we doing questions at the end or now?
If anybody has a quick question right now while it's fresh on your mind, you're welcome to ask, or you can wait and do it afterwards. So anybody?
Yes, ma'am.
If a company wanted to call and ask for you, but they were curious about how your cost compares to, how do you charge a company for your services?
We do a flat fee. We've just started doing that probably in the last year. So what we do, we kind of meet with you and kind of figure out what you need. And we before it was kind of like hourly. Hourly just causes so much frustration between you and a client, and we don't want to live in that space anymore. And so what we want to do is you tell us what you need, and we want to understand your volume. So we are going to say, send me your bank statement, maybe your credit card, let's see how much you're using those. And we're going to kind of do a little calculation on our side, and based on what you need, like you may want QBO and you may want us to do accounting, or you may just want us to get some of these products and us to train you. I mean, we can flex to your needs. But basically, we'll give you a flat fee, and that's guaranteed for a year. And then, at the end of that year, we'll reevaluate. Is that we're pretty right on? Oh, you want us to do, we actually have some clients where we hold them accountable to their goals, and we have monthly meetings with them. So we might pump up for, a consult or CFO type role. So it really we tailor it to whatever the client needs.
Did you bring 40 business cards?
Well, actually, that's a great point. I didn't bring any. I'm sorry, it is 1099 W-2 and payroll deadline this week. So, but what I do have is a list from Mary Stratton of everybody's email, and I'll be sending out kind of a thank you for listening to me. And so you'll have my contact in there. So we got that covered. Okay. Any other questions?
Payroll deadline this week.
Yes, ma'am.
I do have any special recommendations for nonprofits. Would you treat them, how different would you treat them to?
Not any different. We have lots of nonprofits that we handle this way that are on QuickBooks Online that do. We also use Gusto. I'm thinking about one in particular right now. We have several nonprofits that we have on there, but one in particular does Gusto, and it integrates with QBO too for the payroll. And Gusto is really neat because for a payroll software, you can put it on autopilot. So let's say you have somebody who's salary, and it's just maybe 3 employees in their salary, and it just runs itself, and it puts that data right into your QuickBooks Online, and you're done, and they pay all the tax. I mean, that's cool. If you have hourly employees, it's hard to use that one. So, did I answer your question? Okay. So, anything else? All right, if you have any more, I guess we'll be here mingling afterwards, and I'll be happy to answer. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you, Tina. Nathan Lucas, Class Wealth Management Group. Team atmosphere.
We saved the best for second. Just want to take a couple of minutes and just kind of go over what I think are some best practices for your personal finances. I've had several people here recently kind of come in and say, am I doing the right thing? Am I saving enough for retirement? They seem to be somewhat trepidatious about all of that, and it turns out most of the people I see tend to be doing okay, pretty reasonable job on their own. But there's always some things that we can tweak to try to make your financial architecture, if you will, a little bit more efficient and work a little better for you. So just some basic things that I think are some best practices first. There's basically 3 buckets of money that you're going to kind of pay attention to throughout your career. The first one is just your cash reserve. If you've ever heard Dave Ramsey before, I think he always recommends 3 to 6 months of cash on hand in some kind of a liquid account, checking, savings, CDs, something like that. Nothing invested that takes on any kind of market volatility risk. But that cash reserve is there to handle any kind of unexpected expense or emergency that you may have throughout your life. We're all going to have those, so it's good to have that cash reserve there. But once that's firmly in place, you kind of direct your focus immediately to the other end of the spectrum, which is the longest term money that you'll ever have, which is your 401ks and IRAs. The tax deduction that you receive a tax deduction for any kind of a 401k contribution that you make if your employer offers a plan. I think the first hurdle there is you want to be sure you're contributing enough to take advantage of the match that they offer. So if they're offering 4% match, do at least 4% to your 401k. But be aware, you don't have to stop there. The IRS caps contributions for people who are under 50 at $19,000 a year. And if you're over 50, you can put in as much as $25,000 a year. So max that out if you can. Again, there's a real advantage there to putting that into retirement because it's going to grow unencumbered by taxes. So any kind of interest, dividends, capital gains distributions that occur within the account, all those will be sheltered from taxation for so long as that money stays in there. The other way you can go once you've maxed out your 401k, kind of the next leg is to consider making an IRA contribution. You can do both in any given taxable year. If you're over 50, you can put $7,000 in an IRA. If you're under 50, it's $6,000 contribution. So that's in addition to your 401k. The little bit of a disadvantage with respect to IRAs, not only are the contribution limits lower, but also you may or may not get a tax deduction depending on your level of income. So I always recommend max out the 401k first, and then if you have leftover money, consider doing the IRA. Once you've kind of put in enough money into 401k and IRAs, you need to pay attention to that middle or that third leg of the stool, which is really your taxable investments. So you've got a healthy cash reserve, that's immediate money if you need it. You've got a healthy 401k balance, and you're contributing to that real healthfully each year. The last leg is to be sure you're contributing something to some kind of a taxable investment account. Now, in all cases, if you've got 10 years or longer to work, I would recommend going to the top of the risk scale in terms of how you invest money, both in your 401ks and your taxable investment account. You've got enough time to weather any kind of market downturn if you've got 10 years or longer to work. The goal should be to try to achieve at least a 7 to 10% growth rate on the money that's invested in those areas, because if we can get you 7% a year, that money will double every 10 years, and you're trying to achieve as many doubles throughout your work life as you can get. So if you can take on the equity risk, or the only way to get 7 to 10% is to take on equity risk. If you go back to 1971, the S&P 500, which is just the 500 largest companies in the United States, that index has averaged a 9% return. Bonds typically average about 4%, and cash instruments are 1 to 2%. So in order to get 7 to 10% on your money, you need to be in stocks for a good long while. Hopefully that'll get you a few doubles before you retire, but by the time you get within that 10-year range of retirement, you want to start doing a couple of different things. First, I'd recommend trying to increase your cash reserve. If you can get to where you maybe have almost or up to about a year's worth of anticipated expenses in your retirement in cash, that's a great place to be. The more you have there, the less you have to sell out of any investments that you may have at an inopportune time. So have about a year's worth of cash reserve if you can get there. As far as your taxable investment is concerned, if it's a healthy enough balance, it may make a lot of sense during that 10-year window to start selling out of those stocks, reducing your volatility risk, and putting those proceeds in tax-free municipal bonds. The advantage there is that you can probably draw about a 3% interest rate for the rest of your life tax-free. The reason that's important is that when you start drawing out of your IRAs and 401ks, that money will be taxable to you as, I think it's ordinary income or earned income, one of the two. Talk to the CPA. You're taxed on it when you take it out. So there's a tax burden that you'll owe for the rest of your life as you draw out of that retirement. But perhaps if you had enough in that taxable investment bucket that's now invested in tax-free securities, you'd be able to replace the tax burden from your 401k. So I love the idea of having a good cash reserve, a nice healthy taxable investment balance that eventually could be converted to a tax-free investment vehicle for you. And then of course your IRAs and 401ks, that's your longest money, and so you're always going to leave it a little bit more aggressively invested. So if you've got cash on hand, you've got a healthy taxable investments that's all in bonds, you can afford to take on a little bit more risk throughout your life with the 401k and IRAs. I'd recommend by the time you enter into that 10-year window, you work down from being 100% in stocks with retirement money down to something like 50-50 stocks to bonds. From there, you probably would never need to reduce that risk if you've kind of got the healthy balances in your non-retirement accounts. So that's a good way to go. I had some numbers to crunch, but I don't know if anybody wants to hear any of those. But the main point of that is just that at some point your retirement will be taxed, and you can find a way to replace some of that income by taxable or tax-free securities that way. So that's basically it. That's all I had to share with everybody. If anybody's got any questions, I'd love to talk some more about it. And we're also available anytime. If you have a business, you don't have a retirement plan in place, we would love to talk to you about setting up 401k for you. It's a great way to shelter more money into that tax deferred plan than what you can do in IRAs. So let us know if we can help in any way. Thank y'all.
I'm Sharon Wood with Wood Griffith Insurance Services.
Okay, mine is very simple. How about that? I went to school actually at Mississippi College to be a teacher. My mother was a teacher. I thought I'd be a teacher too. It didn't work out. I don't like children as much as I thought I did, but I will say it prepared me in the role I have now because I educate people on insurance. My husband always laughs and says, there's nothing more boring than insurance. He has since come to work with me, and we talk about insurance constantly. So obviously it's not that boring, but I will say I've come to the source on many occasions, and I've admired the women and men on the panels, and I've always taken something away. And with Tina, I'm thinking, okay, I've really got to get organized, and I'm hiding my American Express bills from my husband. So I need to let that go. Nathan, I need a year's income put back is what I've decided. So, ha ha. But I will say, when I was asked to speak, I was honored and I was a little nervous, as you can tell, because, you know, it's intimidating up here. But I will say this, relating insurance to financial peace. How do I do that? So I did what anybody who has a life question does, and I Googled it to see what was said, and the first person who popped up was Dave Ramsey. And Dave is someone that we actually advertised with for many years when I first started. And he's so smart, but it's so simple. I mean, pay your bills, save your money, don't overspend. Little things that we all know, but we get caught up in life. So when relating that to auto and home, I will say your auto and home rates are based on your credit score. Did you know that? Did you know when you called me for a quote, the better your credit, the better your rates? Does anybody here know their credit score? Roundabout. I have people that call me all the time, and they're like, I have a 665. And I'm going, okay, we'll get you some good rates, but it's not going to be as good as the 800s. So, having said that, statistically, your credit score determines how safe you live, how responsible you are, how you pay your bills. So therefore, it equates to, are you high risk or are you low risk? If you're paying your bills and you're living safely, you're probably driving safely. You're probably making good decisions. If you have your finances in order, typically you're living a safer, a life prepared for life events. Okay, you've got money put back. Mary Stratton mentioned she wanted the source to be prepared for when life happens. I'm not a CPA, I'm not a financial advisor, but I am there for when life happens. Okay, you call me or call your insurance agent when you have a problem. The life happens part. Why does life happen at the most inopportune moments? When we're stressed, when we're overworked, when we're over budget. Who's ready for January to be over? Life happens. So I want you to close your eyes for a minute. And I want you to think about being in Target. You're shopping and you look at your watch or now your cell phone. And you said, oh my gosh, I have 15 minutes to pick up my child from school. You drop everything. You run to your car, you get in, you put your car in reverse, you back up, you hear beepers, you don't stop, bam. You hit someone. Can anyone relate? I get these phone calls every day. It hadn't happened to me hitting someone, but being in Target, late for carpool, it happens. That's where I come in to help you with life. You call me, we walk you through the process. Call me, call your agent. We walk you through the process and help you with life happening. Insurance is not tangible. You can't touch it, you can't feel it, you can't smell it, but it's there to make you whole again, okay? So I'm gonna go through the do's and don'ts of insurance. Well, and I'm gonna back up and say, the question I get, why am I paying so much for insurance? Why is my insurance so much? Do you know my bank draft is X? Well, call me, first of all. But second of all, make sure on your auto insurance, you're bundling your auto and home. Did you know that could save you 15% or more? It can. It's real. The commercial is real. If you can pay in full every 6 months, pay your insurance in full every 6 months. There's a discount. Bank draft your auto insurance. Saves you money. Go paperless. If you're a safe driver, there's a little device you can plug in your car and it tracks your driving. If you're not a safe driver, don't get it because then you're mad at me in the end. But there's a device you can plug in your car and get a discount, okay? Don'ts in auto insurance. I'm guilty, and I say this, distracted driving. I'm Sharon Wood, and I text and drive. I don't need to. I try not to, but I'm working on it. But life happens, we're busy. Distracted driving accounts for so many accidents, and we're all guilty, and it's hard for me to judge, but let's try to get better. Tickets and accidents, be safe. Back to the credit score, back to being safe, making responsible decisions. If you have lots of tickets and accidents, that's going to affect your auto rates. Home insurance bundling, go back to bundling. There's your 15% or more savings. Do you have a monitored alarm system in your home? Have you updated anything in your home? Have you replaced your roof, your plumbing, your electrical, your heating and air? Let your agent know that. Have you paid your house off? There's a discount for that, okay? Claims-wise is when I get into my don'ts. Don't make a small claim. Most of us have a $1,000 deductible. If you have a claim for $1,500, don't file it. Pay it out of pocket. A claim, whether it be a home claim or an auto claim, stay on your record for 5 years. You're surcharged $500 for 5 years. It's not a smart decision to make. So, in saying that, I hope we've learned to invest, to save, and be prepared for when life happens.
Thank y'all so much. I know, obviously, we all have questions here, but is anybody willing to raise a hand?
Yeah.
If somebody wanted to call you, they've not called an investment area, how do we go about paying that? Is that included in your fee, so the money that we're paying for me, or how does that work?
Yeah, we charge, no check written at all. We just charge based on the asset value that we manage for you. So our fee is 1% per year if you're in stocks and bonds. If you're just fixed income, we charge right at half a percent, 60 basis points. And that fee comes out 1/12 of that percentage rate every year based on the account, or every month based on the value of the account. So your account will fluctuate throughout the year just because stocks and bond values fluctuate as well. Our fee is meant to track the value of your account as the market fluctuates and pushes you up or down. If you paid the fee up front and your account value went down, you've overpaid us. So we're trying to avoid that and make it fair for both sides. Just we charge 1/12 of 1% per month based on the value of your account. But it's a 1% fee. Yep. Comes right out of the account, no checks. Yeah.
Anybody else?
Bless you.
So, any advice or any words of wisdom for a soon-to-be teenage boy driving?
Do not get him a Camaro. I always say, I mean, any child, boy or girl, a good student, if they have a 3.0 overall average, there's a discount, okay? You have a better rate. Driver's ed, it helps, but that good student discount equates in making good decisions, okay? So those statistics in living responsibly, if you're a good student, it equates to a discount in driving. 15-year-old boy, seriously, get him an older car that you can put liability only on, or keep full coverage on it for 6 months, because I go back to statistics, things are going to happen within the first 6 months of a child having their driver's license. So they're learning, they're texting and driving. So that would be my, don't go out. I know as parents we want our children to have the very best, but a 15 or 16-year-old boy does not need a red Camaro or a jacked up truck. I mean, something safe that they can learn in.
And it's one policy per household, right? There's no.
And you don't want. I have parents that want to kick their children off their policies. They get mad at their 18-year-old sons, and they want to kick their children off the policy. Unless you're 25 and a married boy, insurance is going to be expensive.
Thank you.
I know.
Take all of that.
Along those same lines, for a parent, so we always had the philosophy that when our children were old enough to drive, I have 3 boys, that when they were old enough to drive, that we would just put them in a car that would just be, would be fine for whatever was gonna happen.
Right.
But now with all of the safety modifications, backup cameras and things like that, does that make a difference? Is there a vehicle that you see routinely related to a lower rate for that risk pool?
For boys,
Yeah.
just a simple truck.
Okay, a truck?
Honestly, just a simple truck.
What about a van?
A minivan. I'm going to say I know Kelly, and I know what she drives, so a minivan is just fine. And they will love you. They will love you for that. I know. But I will say this. I mean, I get the phone call every day like, my insurance has gone up. Why? Cars with all the computers and all the digital, where a claim you backed into a pole or hit something where a claim used to cost $2,000 to fix. Now it's $6,000 because there's so much underneath the car. So when you get upset because your rates have gone up just a little bit, just know that when you wreck, and most of us have little accidents, if it's life happens, it just costs more to repair. Be careful with those. I mean, because we pay those. I mean, a rock pack, we're going to say, go get it fixed. It's no charge. But when you have a claims history of 15 rock packs, and my customers that live in like Crystal Springs and Brookhaven that drive, 55 South every day, it happens. But just, you may want to pay some of those out of pocket before you have 5 or 6, because it is a claim.
Anybody else?
How old is your house? Okay. It could. I've noticed a trend in homes over 10 years old, and especially over 20 years old. I fall in that category, to where you're losing like a new home discount. So again, if you've updated your roof in that time, if you've had a claim, or you've made made repairs, done some things to update it, let your agent know. But having a 20-year-old home, things happen. I mean, my husband's philosophy right now is everything we own is broken. I mean, it just so, and as that happens, insurance, does come into play. So you'll have a little surcharge. Yeah.
How many people have earthquake insurance?
If you live in Madison, you probably do.
I do, and I'm a realtor.
Yes.
I don't
Not
feel
many
like a lot of
people, they
do.
don't, but it's so cheap. I mean, I know after Katrina, my husband was like, okay, we never thought we would have a hurricane, and now what about an earthquake? And I quoted it, and it was $100 a year, less than $10 a month. So if you live above Hinds County, I would consider it. When you get into insurance, I mean, it's a money thing, and people want the least expensive, and they don't want to spend the money. But little things like that, when you say it's $10 a month, it's not, it's something to think about.
Nathan, if you have young children, like 5, 6-year-old, 5, what kind of accounts should you create for them?
I really think the best thing to do for them, if you think they'll go to either a private school for K or 1 through 12 or go to college, I think a 529 plan is really the best thing to do. You would get a tax deduction, state tax deduction, if you go through the state treasurer's office to open a plan there. But it's almost like a 401k where you just put in what you want to and let it grow. You pick an investment selection there. It'll grow tax-free, and then when you take it out and spend it on a qualified educational expense, it's tax-free. So that's benefiting you and your children, and they've got 10 or 12 years to let it grow and become something. So that's a great thing to do. Other than that, if you didn't like the college savings idea, you could really just a savings account where you're getting them some interest would be an okay way to go. Mutual funds, if you bought them a fund, you usually have to have about $2,500 to buy a mutual fund. So anything under that amount, I would just leave it in a savings account for a while. But I really think the best thing for them and you is probably to do the 529 plans. Get started early. Yeah.
I also have life insurance for my kids. I think it's very cheap. You might sell that too, and it's very cheap, and it's just every year in case. I think I have like 20,000 or something per kid. But, so.
So following up on the 529, so you feel like you would recommend that now over the impact with the rate so much the last couple of years?
Right. Impact is great because it locks in today's cost of college, and I think the last time I looked, college inflation rate was like 8%. So that's really good, but the impact only covers tuition. It doesn't cover books, room and board, computers, or anything else. So you can actually do both. Lock in your tuition rate, but then if you had additional money, do the 529 for all those added college expenses on top of tuition. If you have multiple children, it can go to the next child down, but eventually if you take it out and spend it on a non-college related expense, you pay a 10% penalty in taxes. Chances are it probably will have grown tax-free for a real long time, and so you may have outgrown the expense of that, but it is punitive to use it on other things rather than expenses. And I guess your CPA would tell you what a qualified educational expense is and what isn't. So wedding probably doesn't qualify.
I've got some ideas for y'all. Okay, I've spoke on this before. Okay, so just to step back, I do a pretty robust, I think it's robust for when in my day, allowance program. So I give my kids, they have the opportunity to earn $50 a week. I'm sorry, every 2 weeks. I lost my thing. Anyway, $50 every 2 weeks. They have to, if I say fold clothes, they have to fold clothes. If they give me back talk, I deduct. If they need money, it's a loan. Because they're getting this money every so often. I don't pay for lunches anymore. You can make your lunch at home, but they get this money. So they're getting $100 a month. My kids are a little bit younger. So, you might need to do a little bit higher for high school. I do. I've lost my video. I do for my personal, but I don't for them. But I did teach them how to do a little app to track stuff. But so anyway, I deduct for bad behavior, and I deduct for things not happening on my time frame. And I don't pay, like, if they want shoes, like, I remember my son and I, we went to a store on vacation. He wanted this hat. It was like $30. It's not that much. I said, well, I'll pay half and you pay half. Because, I've seen souvenir vacation. Ooh, I don't know if I want it now. It really gives them ownership. So on the flip side of that, I'm not a huge supporter of all this Xboxing. And so we really limit that. And I say, okay, you got your money. He wants to go buy a bunch of stuff on it. I'm like, that's waste. I feel like that's not tangible. But, you kind of have to let them make their own decisions because they've got this pool of money. So, and I use something called the Greenlight app. Have y'all heard of that? It gives them their own little debit card. And so they can actually go to an ATM. So I put their allowance. I don't go to the bank. I slap the allowance right over on that card. Occasionally they need cash. Well, we'll drive by the ATM, they can pull their cash out for whatever they need. Or if they go with friends anyplace, they've got this card. I don't have to be 20 back in, for dinner. Or if I want to pay for it, it's there. Or I say, use your own money, especially if they've been kind of disrespectful. Use your own money to pay for stuff. On my presentation that I do, there's little steps based on the ages. So for elementary, I would recommend a savings account that they can just put money in. And kind of teach them how to also do a little bit of charitable, whatever portion you deem appropriate, maybe 10%. And then for middle school, I gave mine this green card. And it gives they can kind of see what they've spent their money on. They see what comes in and what comes out and where it went, and there's a trail. They say kind of give them a checking account at the middle school age and let them start learning how to reconcile their bank account and understand the ins and outs. And then for high school, you want to throw in the debit card. So I've kind of went and did that in middle school. Does that help? Anybody think is that too good allowance program, or do we need to?
When I have grown women calling to pay insurance for their 40-year-old sons, and it's usually sons, I don't know mamas like the kids. I say kudos to teaching them young. So I think that's a great idea.
I would have had that. You tell me to deduct from Smart Mouths. That's a great idea.
Oh yeah. I mean, they never get 50, just because they don't. I mean, on a good week they might get 4 every other 2. They get paid when my husband gets paid because he's monthly. He's like,
Well, my boys are grown now, and they actually love me now.
Yes, they come back.
Okay. Thank y'all again so much for being here. Casey and Brent have so kindly filmed this for us. So if you know of someone who might be interested in one of these presentations, the link will be available on our website, and it'll just be an easy something that you can forward to people. The little black squares are suggestion cards, and we would love to hear some feedback from you, what you enjoyed, a speaker that you might be interested in, a topic that interests you. We also yesterday sent out a source survey. So if you want to go back and check your email for that, we'd love to hear your feedback that way. We've also got something new planned for our next After Hours with the Source. So keep an eye on your social media and on our blog and newsletter for that too. Thank you again, everyone. I hope the Source continues to be an asset for you, and please feel free to tell others about it. We would love to grow the network, because the stronger our network is, the stronger that we can be for each and every one of you. So thank you again. We're so excited that you are here, and we hope to see you again next time.